rhinos are being weeded out of the Republican Party thanks to Trump and his supporters. And if Youngkin can win Virginia, it could be the start of a red wave in 2022, the likes of which this country hasn't seen since Ronald Reagan. Welcome to Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, I'm your host, Hyde, and this is Hide and Seek Media, where we talk about news, sports, politics, and so much more. In today's video, we're going to talk about rhinos being weeded out of the Republican Party one by one as Trump and his supporters push forth the America First agenda. Taking control back of the House and Senate is paramount in stopping the destruction of this country, which is exactly what's happening under this administration. So we're going to get into that governor race. I'm going to show you some examples of some of these so-called rhinos, or these so-called Republicans, these rhinos, Republican in name only, for those of you who don't know what that means, and why that really is what we need to happen, right? We need to get these rhinos out of the Republican Party. And this is the best way to do it, right? Is to just keep pushing the America First agenda and supporting Trump and the people who supported him, right? Like some of the people we're going to talk about in this video. So let's get to that governor race in Virginia, and we'll start there. But before we get to that, make sure to click the link down below and join my locals community. With your subscription of just $2.99 a month, you get access to all of my videos, articles, and exclusive content made just for locals. Not only that, you'll be able to be part of a community where your voice can be heard without fear of censorship or banishment. And remember, you can always support the channel by donating to one of my many crypto wallets or clicking the merch link down below and picking you out a funny political t-shirt like this one right here. Now, let's get to the news. So we have here from timcast.com. Polls show Virginia race is close in final days before election. Democrat Terry McAuliffe is being challenged by Republican Glenn Youngkin. The contentious Virginia gubernatorial race is almost over, with multiple polls predicting an extremely close race. The Washington Post school poll found 49% of likely voters favoring Democrat Terry McAuliffe, while 48% favor Republican Glenn Youngkin. The month before, the poll found 50% support for the Democrat and 47% for the Republican. A Fox News survey of Virginia likely voters found Youngkin led McAuliffe 53-47. Once again, the result reflected Youngkin's surge in popularity. The former governor was in the lead in the same poll 2 weeks ago, earlier, 51% to 46%. The news outlet says GOP enthusiasm grew during the final weeks of the campaign. The race is largely focused on education, and this has energized Republicans, as 79% of Youngkin supporters are extremely interested in the election compared to 69% of McAuliffe supporters, says Fox. All right, so that right there, it tells you, that Republicans are paying attention to what's going on, not just in politics, but everywhere. Not just in national politics, but in local politics, school boards now, everything is under a microscope because more and more people are starting to be woken up to what's going on in this country and are fighting back. And that's what we need. And that's what's scaring the Democrats, right? So you have this story here from the New York Post. Glenn Youngkin's surge over Terry McAuliffe in Virginia governor race fuels Democrat desperation. Democrats tried to stave off panic over the Virginia governor race in the final days of early voting in a blue state election now suddenly too close to call. Democrats are Democrats are facing a disaster, the Democrat Governors Association warned in a last-minute fundraising email that pointed to recent polls showing the party's candidate, former Governor Terry McAuliffe, falling behind GOP newcomer Glenn Youngkin, just days ahead of the November 2 election. We can't let the GOP break the Democratic firewall in Virginia because what happens there will lay the groundwork for 2022, the message continued. And I think he's right. I think, it's going to lay the groundwork. The two candidates' plans of attack were evident on the campaign trail Saturday. Youngkin, who has harnessed simmering parental anger. Damn, let me do that again. Let me get that out the way. Youngkin, who has harnessed simmering parental anger over school COVID policies and race-based curriculum battles to gain ground among independent voters and disaffected Democrats, drew hundreds of supporters in a rally in Alexandria, one of the state's bluest cities. Right? So he's starting to pick up steam, and they are scared, desperate, right? They know that if they lose Virginia, which is technically a purple state, but it hasn't gone Republican since 2009, right? But if they lose Virginia, it could be, like I said, the start of that red wave that is just going to crash over the entire United States. And you are going to see, like I said, a blanket of Republican wins like you haven't seen since Reagan. And because they're terrified of that, you have this story from Reuters. All right. Group of anti-Trump Republicans was behind tiki torches in Virginia campaign. A group of mostly Republican critics of former U.S. President Donald Trump claimed responsibility on Friday for a demonstration in the Virginia governor's campaign that recalled an infamous 2017 rally in the state. The Lincoln Project said it was behind the use of tiki torches outside a Republican candidate's bus that mimicked the rally of white supremacists in Charlottesville. The earlier event turned deadly when a car driven into the crowd by a self-described neo-Nazi killed a counter-protester. Look at this. All of them wearing white shirts, hats, sunglasses, tiki torches. Desperate, right? Desperate to try to change people's minds. Tuesday's close vote between Republican former private equity executive Glenn Youngkin and Democrat Terry McAuliffe, former governor, is widely seen as a foretaste of next year's midterm elections. Today's demonstration was our way of reminding Virginians what happened in Charlottesville 4 years ago, the Republican Party's embrace of those values and Glenn Youngkin's failure to condemn it, the Lincoln Project said in a statement. Okay, so basically, these wackadoos over here, these people who say they're Republican, they're not Republican. I'm sorry, but the people of the Lincoln Project, you're not Republican. You are what used to be Republican. Okay? But the world has changed. This country has changed. The parties have changed. What used to be Democrat is no longer Democrat. What is Democrat now is left liberal, basically Democrat socialist. That is what the Democrat Party is now. It is all about ideology. It is all about identity. Nothing to do with this country. As a matter of fact, most Democrat leaders anyways, hate this country and want to see it destroyed. So you, people of the Lincoln Project, belong in that group because you no longer belong to the Republican Party, because the Republican Party is now the party of America first. We look to take care of Americans first. We believe that the forefathers of this country who wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, which has survived over 240 years, it has done so for a reason. No other constitution on the planet in civilized society has ever lasted as long. There's a reason for that. Now, does it need updating? Yes, everything needs to change with the tides, but the core values and principles still remain the same. And that's why we need to get rid of these rhinos like these people in the Lincoln Project, get them out of the party, right? And we're doing that by backing America First agenda and people who supported Donald Trump. And so here you have this story from my home state, right? Oklahoma GOP education official switches parties to run for governor, citing COVID response. Okay, so this is Joy Hofmeister. I'm sorry. This is Joy Hofmeister, and she is running for governor. Now, she was a Republican when she was the superintendent, the state school superintendent. Now, if you want to know how Oklahoma's public school system is, you can look that up yourself, but it ain't that great. But she decided to switch parties and join the Democrats. Now, I believe it's because she can't beat the governor in a primary because he's a Trump supporter and an America First agenda, supporter. So he's going to get reelected here in Oklahoma. And I will show you why here in a little while. But let's get to what the Washington Post has to say about this, right? It says, Oklahoma's top public education official on Thursday switched her party affiliation to Democratic and announced a bid for governor, blasting Republican Governor Kevin Stitt's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Okay. We did just fine. I mean, we did no worse than any other state. Joy Hofmeister, a lifelong member of the GOP, first elected as a state superintendent in 2014, stressed that her values have not changed and that her decision was not an easy one. But she said she was bothered by what she called Stitt's toothless health response. She has previously broken with him over mask policies in schools. Tens of thousands of Oklahomans are grieving the loss of their loved ones, Hofmeister said to the Washington Post. We have seen the impact of the mismanaged pandemic response of Governor Stitt, and it is the children of Oklahoma and the families that are bearing the brunt and cost of that. So you also have this story here, ex-GOP senator leaving party challenging Oklahoma governor, right? So the first GOP candidate to challenge Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt said Tuesday he's leaving the party and will run against Stitt as an independent, making him the second elected Oklahoma Republican in recent weeks to leave the party, in part because of the governor's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Former state senator Erwin Yen, an Oklahoma City physician, said in a statement he disagrees with the state party's opposition to mask and vaccine mandates and the insistence of some party officials that the 2020 election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. Earlier this month, Republican State Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hofmeister said she was leaving the party and planned to run against it as a Democrat, accusing the governor of hijacking the Republican Party in Oklahoma. No, Governor Stitt, what he did was he was smart, and he realized that backing the America First agenda and supporting Donald Trump is the smart way to go, because more Republicans in the party, like me, more voters support the America First agenda. So if you're not on board with that, we don't want you. You understand? Get that through your thick heads. Joy Hofmeisters and Erwin Yens And all of you other rhinos out there like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, get it through your thick heads right now. Okay? Hear it from a voter. If you do not support the America First agenda, we do not support you. That's it. Get on board or get the hell out of the way. And if you won't get out of the way, we will move you. That's what our votes are for. Wake up. You see what the Democrat Party is doing to this country. If you do not get behind America First, get out of the way because we're taking this country back. The AP goes on to report Hofmeister broke with 4 of Stitt's appointees to the state school board last year over whether to require schools to follow coronavirus protocols, including wearing masks. Stitt's appointees voted to make complying with the protocols optional. She also opposed a bill Stitt signed later last year prohibiting school districts from requiring students to wear masks. Yen, the first Asian American elected to an Oklahoma legislature, has been particularly critical of Stitt's response to the coronavirus pandemic, especially the governor's opposition to mask mandates. I absolutely believe in temporary mask mandates when needed to fight this current COVID pandemic, Yen said. If the state had instituted a statewide mask mandate in June of 2020, we could have avoided 70% of the COVID deaths that we have suffered since then. Now, that is his opinion. You cannot state that based on, because as somebody who lives here, I can tell you I saw a lot of people still wearing masks, even while driving their cars alone with the windows up. Yes. That's how brainwashed you've got some of these people. So I applaud Governor Stitt for not making them mandatory. See, that's the beauty of this country, is you get an option to choose how you want to live your life. And if you don't want to wear a damn mask, we're not going to force you. But if some businesses say, hey, you can't come in without one, hey, that's fine. I just won't shop at your business. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. There are places out there who did not mandate them. So this is what, but let me show you why all of this is for naught, right? Hofmeister joining the Democrat Party, that was just to get money, right? That was just so she could have funding to kind of combat Stitt, because the Republican Party is not going to put any money in either one of these candidates to try to unseat Stitt. He's done a good job here in Oklahoma as far as the Republican Party is concerned and the America First agenda is concerned. And so he's going to get reelected. And the Republican Party is going to help that along by funding his campaign. So they really didn't have a choice. If Hofmeister wants to run, she's going to have to join the Democrat Party to get funding. But here's why. We're going to go back to the 2020 election results here in Oklahoma. All right, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 were 50%, 40 to 50% or more. The rest, 70 to 80 or higher for Donald Trump. This was in 2020, okay? 2016 looked just like this. There is not one blue county. Oklahoma County is the closest one, and it was still like 53 to 47. This is why those people don't have a shot. Because if they don't get on board with America First and supporting Donald Trump, they're done. They're done. So, in the end, right, this is all about America First. This is all about putting people in office who are going to stand up and fight against the Democrats. People like Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? We need more, Jim Jordans in Congress. We need more Ted Cruz's and Josh Hawley's in the Senate. Less Rand Pauls. We need more Rand Pauls. We need less Mitch McConnell's, less Lindsey Graham's, okay? We need people who are about America, about liberty, about freedoms, about supporting the Constitution, defending it, like the oath that they took when they took office tells them they're supposed to do. That's who we need to be putting in office. And that's why it is imperative, right, that we start this red wave off correctly and getting Youngkin to win, and then making sure Governor Stitt holds his position and his seat. That is important. Governors' races are important, right? Holding the majorities in the state legislatures and the state governments is imperative, not just on the national level, but at the state level as well. Because if we just had one or two more states on board, we could have had a convention of states and done away with a lot of these policies that the Biden administration is doing, right? We could have done a convention of states and impeached this administration for what they did in Afghanistan, right? But we just don't have enough states. We're I want to say 2 or 3 states away from having enough to do a convention of states. And so that's why getting state legislatures and state governments is important too. But 2022, we have to have that red wave. We have to have a Reagan-esque red wave in this country. That's the only way the Constitution survives, is if we defend it and start putting America first. Look back to 2019 and ask yourself, how good was it before the coronavirus pandemic hit, before the Great Reset initiative was launched? Look to 2019 and ask yourself, can we get there again? I believe we can, but it starts at the voting booth, and it starts in 2022. If we do not take 2022, we're going to lose this country. So, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. Smash that like button. Give me a rumble. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video and the topic. I love to engage with my viewers, so feel free to fire away. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.